Hello and welcome to this webinar. Today, I'd like to talk about how to run a successful meeting. As everybody knows, meetings can be one of the main time wasters in office culture. So it is very important to learn how to actively manage your meeting. Now, imagine tomorrow you have an important meeting in English and you are the chair. Would you know how to lead a productive meeting in English? Even if you have worked long hours on meeting preparation and you have managed to put together a perfect agenda, you still have to actively manage the meeting to make sure you stay on topic, avoid distractions, keep people focused on the agenda, and keep control of the discussion. Now, I'd like to show you a short text describing the most common mistakes that can result into a very poor meeting. Let's read the text together. When things go wrong, pinpointing and solving the problems that plague meetings. A fly, imprisoned by the closed door of a meeting room, is having a tedious afternoon. The meeting it's involuntarily attending started 2 hours ago. For a fly, that's the equivalent of 4 months in a human life. According to the agenda the insect's standing on, there are still 2 more items to cover on the first page, and there are 3 more pages to come. What's more, the current subject, apparently a tricky issue, is taking a long time to tie up. Perhaps the chairman is too involved in the current topic and isn't concentrating on chairing the meeting. Why doesn't he just decide to put the matter to one side, move on, and come back to it later on, instead of letting the discussion get bogged down? And then there's the motto mouth at the end of the table who's not sticking to the agenda. Even when she gets sidetracked into subjects that are totally irrelevant, the chairman is doing nothing to stop her rambling. There's no wonder the junior member of the staff in the corner hasn't said a word all afternoon. These insights would of course be beyond the understanding of a fly, but only just. Pinpointing the common problems that plague meetings is pretty much common sense, but solving them can be more tricky. Yes, that's just so true. And here are some words from the text that I would like to explain. To get bogged down, second paragraph. What does it mean? What is a bog? Yeah, a bog is a swamp or a place where you have murky water and the muddy ground. To be bogged down means to be trapped in a bog and be unable to move in any direction. In this specific case, it means to be stuck in unimportant matters that do not relate to the main purpose of the meeting. Second word is motto mouth. And then there is the motto mouth at the end of the table. What is a motto mouth? A motto mouth is someone who talks too much. We can say he's a motto mouth or is a chatterbox. Then we have to be sidetracked. What's the meaning of sidetracked? To move away from the main topic. Last word is to pinpoint. Pinpoint means to show exactly. Okay, so think about a recent meeting you have attended. Have you ever felt like the poor fly? I'm sure you have. Unfortunately, that happens quite frequently. There are some strategies, however, that can help you stay organized and run your meetings efficiently. And that's what we're going to talk about in this session. The topics we are going to cover are taking control of the discussion, losing and regaining control, managing the clock, asking for input and thanking others for their input, presenting information, verifying and clarifying, moving the agenda forward, summarizing the main points on the agenda, and closing the meeting. As the meeting leader, you have already welcomed the participant, summarized the agenda, introduced the topics and made sure everybody has a clear idea of what you're going to discuss. Now, you'll get into the most important part of the meeting, taking control of the discussion or steering the meeting. How you do this mainly depends on what you're talking about. However, here are some professional phrases you can use to present your ideas and take control of the discussion. For example, let's go ahead. I'd like to discuss about. The aim of this discussion is to. We'll now go over. We'll now cover. They have the same meaning. Our main goal today will be. Our top priority should be. We'll also need to take a look. I'm confident that. And here we have some practical examples. Our main goal today will be to brainstorm ideas for improving our brand awareness and recognition. Our top priority should be to draft a plan for bolstering recognition in the marketplace. We'll also need to take a look at our current marketing program. I'm confident that with these new tools in place, we'll solve the problem. Next step, losing and regaining control. It doesn't matter what kind of meeting you're leading. As the chair, maintaining control is essential for the meeting to be productive. To be a good leader, you need to keep people focused on the agenda and avoid distraction. If someone is speaking for too long, or if you've strayed from the agenda, you need to get back to the main issue as soon as possible. Here are some good professional phrases that you could use. Let's not get too far off topic here. We can discuss that at the end if you feel it is important. I'd be more than happy to take that up with you after the meeting. These sentences can be very useful as you acknowledge the contribution of the attendee, but redirect focus back to the agenda. If a person is dominating the conversation, you may need to gently interrupt them and encourage discussion from other team members with a sentence like, "You have made a lot of interesting points, Tom. If you don't mind, I'd really like to hear James's ideas as well. Thanks." And if you've been listening to someone speak for a while and you need to interrupt them, you can say, "Let me stop you here." Notice, however, that this sentence is not appropriate for interrupting someone unless the person has already had a chance to complete their thought. So you could say, for example, "Let me stop you here. These are some interesting ideas and I really appreciate your input, but we are getting off topic." Or we can take up this matter another time. Managing the clock. Good time management is essential to staying on track during a meeting. Managing the clock means using good time management. If you are running out of time and need to move on another topic, you can finish up a topic with someone by saying, "We can take up this matter another time." If the meeting is scheduled to end soon and many tasks haven't been completed, you can say, "We still have quite a few things to work on." When there's no time remaining in a meeting, then you have run out of time or time has run out. If you don't have time to get one of the items on the agenda, but still need to talk about it during the next meeting, then you can say, "You can save it for the next meeting." Next step, asking for input and thanking others for their input. As a meeting leader, one of your main tasks is to make sure everybody has a chance to take part in the discussion and express their ideas. What could you say to bring the participants into the discussion? You could ask questions like, what's your opinion on this? So, what do you have to say about that, David? Please feel free to comment on that. Helen, do you have an opinion on this matter? Does anyone have any bright ideas? Could you add anything to our ideas here? Before we finish up, is there anything you'd like to add? These are good phrases to make sure all the participants have a chance to take part in the discussion. And remember to thank the participants for their inputs with sentences like, thanks for bringing all this to my attention. This is a very good question. Thanks for your ideas, Peter. And now it's your turn. Complete the sentences above with a missing word. Exercise number 1. So, our main today will be to brainstorm ideas for improving our brand awareness and recognition. What's the missing word here? Same as objective. Yes, our main goal. Second, we'll also need to take a at our current marketing program. To take a, yes, to take a look. We'll also need to take a look at our current marketing program. I'm that with this new tool in place, we'll solve the problem. You want to be positive. I'm confident. Then let's not get too far. You want to stick at the agenda. Far off topic. Let me, you hear. There are some interesting ideas, so you want to interrupt someone who is talking too much. Let me, yes, let me stop. Let me stop you here. There are some interesting ideas and I really appreciate your input, but we are getting off topic. Number 6, we can take this matter another time. We can take, okay, very good. We can take up this matter another time. Number 7, we have run of time. Run out of time. Excellent. Please feel to comment on this. Now you are encouraging someone to comment. Please feel free. Very good. Yes. Okay, the next point we are going to cover is presenting information. One of the fundamental skills for a meeting leader is the ability to present information clearly and concisely. Some companies have a policy of sending out a memorandum to all attendees a few days before the meeting to establish the meeting's goal and explain the guidelines. When writing a formal message or memorandum, you can present information or data using the phrase, "Please find below." If you want to ask others to read information carefully before attending the next meeting, you can say, "Please be sure to carefully review this information before our next meeting." And if you want to introduce positive news, a useful phrase is, "I'm pleased to report." For example, "I am pleased to report that sales have risen by more than 20% so far this fiscal year." And now we have an example, memorandum, 2 Green Store Corporation Executive Committee members from Leon Murphy, General Manager. Reference, Product Distribution and Logistics Report Summary. Please find below a summary of the product distribution and logistic report for the most recent reporting period. This summary contains the highlights and key points of the report, a full copy of which will be distributed before the meeting. We will be discussing this information during Friday's Executive Committee meeting, so please be sure to review it carefully before then. I am pleased to report that we succeeded in reducing our expenses related to international product distribution, most notably storage and warehousing, by nearly $80,000, and so on. And now, some sentences for verifying and clarifying. I'm a bit confused on a few points. Would you mind clearing a few things up for me? And then, when you understand, okay, that makes sense. One more phrase is, just one more thing. Could you give us some more information on? Okay, so now let's see how to move the agenda forward. After you have discussed the first topic on the agenda and you want the attendees to know that you are ready to work on the next item, you can say, let's move on to the next item, or I think that covers the first item. If nobody has anything else to add, we can move on to the next item. You can repeat these sentences until you have covered all the items on your agenda. Once you have finished, you need to summarize the key points you have talked about. Here, you can use sentences like, in brief, shall I go over the main points? To sum up. And now, it's time to finish up. Closing the meeting. Here, you should say that you have finished and ask the participant if they have any final question. This will help them clarify if there is anything they didn't understand and make any final points. Use questions like, is there any other business? Are there any other questions before we finish? You can now end the meeting. These phrases are very useful. Okay, we have covered the main items for the meeting today. That's all for today's meeting. I'd like to thank you all for attending. That's all for today. And now, it's your turn again. Exercise number 2. Fill in the blanks with a missing word. Let's see what you remember. Please find a summary of the product distribution and logistics report. This is from the memorandum. Please find below. Very good. I am to report that sales, here you want to give good news. So I am pleased to report that sales have, now you want to describe a positive trend, an increase. Sales have risen by more than 20% this fiscal year. I'm a bit confused on a few points. Would you clearing a few things up for me? What's the word here? Polite request. Would you mind? Yes, very good. Shall I go the main points? What's the word here? Over, yes. Then, are there any before we finish? What is the right word here? Are there any questions? Excellent. We have the main items for the meeting today. We have covered the main items for the meeting today. I'd like to thank you all for attending. That's all for today. Okay, so that's all for today. Are you leading a meeting in English in the near future? I hope the words and phrases from the lesson can make it easier for you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.